Hello, and this is some creative writing from Mr. Jeffrey Wagner, and let's just jump right into it. It was posted at the first edition AD&D group, and thank you, Jeffrey, for posting your creative writing here in this group. And during the day, sadly, with all the stuff that I have to do, I can't take the time to actually go in and read one of your pages from one of your stories. But after the sun goes down, particularly between midnight and the dawn, I have that time, and I always like to spend a little bit more time on a post to read, like a 1 page or 2 page thing. So thanks again, and here we go. And again, this is written by Jeffrey Wagner, or Wagner, I think is how some people would say it. Yes. Anyway, here we go. Better, Monster of the Week, Black Pudding. In the confines of his room at the inn, young Alden's eyes scanned the parchment with a mix of excitement and trepidation. This scroll before him contained incantations that whispered of power beyond his wildest dreams. He was a novice spellcaster, his fingers still stumbling over the arcane symbols, his voice tentative as it shaped the ancient syllables. His heart raced as he reached the final line, the one that promised to summon a powerful creature to do his bidding. His hands trembling, Alden completed the incantation. A sudden burst of light filled the room, and he felt a surge of energy flow through his body, a heady rush that made his vision swim. He stumbled back, his eyes widening as a shadow grew before the doorway, blocking the warm light from the hall. The shadow grew and grew until it took on a monstrous form, a quivering mass of blackness that pulsed with malevolent intent. A black pudding, a creature of nightmare, had been summoned into being, and it hungered. The pudding's gelatinous body flowed forward, undulating with the hunger that was palpable. Alden's excitement turned to horror as he realized the magnitude of his mistake. He had summoned a creature that could dissolve flesh and armor alike, a creature that would not stop until it had consumed all that was living in the vicinity. His heart pounding in his chest, he tried to recall the words to dismiss the monstrosity, but fear had stolen his wits. The creature's pseudopods reached out, their touch like the kiss of death. Alden's screams echoed through the corridors. The black pudding enveloped him. The acidic substance of the pudding burned through his clothes, then through his flesh, and the agony was indescribable. The inn's wooden walls began to show signs of decay as the creature's corrosive nature ate away at the very structure of the building. Patrons and staff alike rushed up the stairs, weapons drawn, only to see the pudding dissolving the trapped mage, their eyes widening in terror. The floorboards beneath the pudding's bulk grew wet and soft, and with a sudden, sickening crunch, they gave way. The pudding dropped through the floor, leaving a gaping hole where once stood a cozy room. The splintering wood did nothing to slow the creature's descent, and it plummeted into the tavern below, its impact sending up a cloud of dust and splinters. The patrons below had barely a moment to react before the black mass was among them. A burly man at the bar, the nearest to the breach, tried to flee, his eyes wide with horror, but his heavy boots slipped in the ale-soaked floorboards, and he fell hard onto his back, his mug clattering to the ground. The pudding surged forward, its pseudopods wrapping around his legs with alarming speed. He screamed in agony as the acidic touch began to dissolve his skin, the pain so intense he could hardly breathe. The patrons watched in frozen horror as the pudding engulfed the manhole, his cries for help fading as he was absorbed into the creature's inky embrace. The consumed patron tipped the scales within the pudding, fissioning the 8-foot diameter black pudding split into two separate masses, each maintaining a 5-foot diameter. One slithered towards a group of yelling patrons near the kitchen, while the other continued its relentless attacks of the tavern's guests. The room erupted into chaos, people jumping onto tables and chairs, desperately seeking any means of escape from the monstrous blobs. The commotion grew louder as Alden's mentor, the venerable mage Merrick, rushed through the tavern's entrance. His eyes narrowed as he took in the scene of panic. The once warm and inviting space was now a battleground of fear and destruction. His face contorted with a mix of shock and anger as he realized the cause of the panic may have been his foolish apprentice. Merrick's gaze found the two black puddings, one feasting on the unmoving remains of a patron, the other ominously approaching the terrified kitchen staff. Without a moment's hesitation, he raised his hands and brought his thumbs together, fanning his fingers out like the fiery wings of a phoenix. The air crackled with power as he unleashed a burning hand spell at the creature nearest the shattered remains of the bar. The fire struck the pudding with a sizzling sound, and the creature recoiled, a portion of its gelatinous body boiling off into a noxious cloud of steam and ash. The tavern's wooden bar, already weakened by the pudding's acid, caught fire, the flames licking hungrily at the alcohol-soaked shelves behind it. The heat grew intense, and the pudding writhed in pain, its movements erratic. The patrons and staff broke out windows and scrambled through, fleeing. Merrick watched as the people he had once called friends and colleagues escaped the burning inn. His heart ached with the weight of his failure as a mentor. He should have taught Alden better. Now the consequences of his negligence were unfolding before his very eyes. With a grim expression, he turned back to the remaining puddings, his mind racing with spells that might banish or destroy them. Taking a deep breath, Merrick stepped out into the cobblestone street, his robes billowing in the cold night air. He raised his hand and began to chant an incantation that was as old as the very stones of the city itself. The words grew in power, resonating through the night, and a fiery bit lit the tip of his finger. Casting, Merrick directed the fireball spell through the tavern's broken window. The ball of burning guano streaked through the air, a comet of destruction aimed at the heart of the remaining black puddings. Inside, the gelatinous creatures had become more agitated, their senses overwhelmed by the heat of the burning inn and the panic of their prey. The fireball hit with a deafening roar, the impact shaking the very foundations of the building. The windows shattered, sending a maelstrom of flaming shards into the night. The heat and flame expanded outwards, igniting everything within the inn, including the puddings. The gelatinous forms convulsed and writhed, their acidic bodies hissing and popping under the intense heat. For a brief moment, the tavern was a conflagration of fiery death. And then the fire retreated. The puddings, once vibrant with malicious intent, now lay still, their forms charred and brittle. The acrid scent of burnt ooze filled the air as the flames danced around them, consuming the last remnants of their substance. The wooden beams of the tavern groaned and crackled, threatening to give way at any moment. The once terrifying creatures were now nothing more than lifeless, blackened blobs on the floor, their hunger satiated only by their own destruction. And that was a reading of some of the creative writing of Mr. Jeffrey Wagner. Yes, Wagner. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah. I will see you guys in the future, I guess. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to upload. And I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. All right. Okay. See you. Bye.